The storm hit without warning. It was as if the sky itself had split open, unleashing a fury we were utterly unprepared for. One minute the sea was calm, a serene expanse of blue stretching to the horizon. The next, it transformed into a raging monster, waves towering like mountains. Waves crashed over the deck with relentless force. The ship groaned under the assault, its timbers creaking and straining as if crying out in pain. Then the unthinkable happened. We hit rocks, hidden beneath the churning water, jagged and unforgiving. The impact was jarring, a sickening crunch that echoed through the storm. The ship tore apart, splintering into pieces. I clung to a piece of driftwood, the only survivor in a sea of chaos and destruction. Tossed by the waves, I lost track of time. Exhaustion pulled at me, each wave sapping my strength, each moment a battle to stay afloat. Just when I felt hope fading, I saw it. Land, a distant silhouette against the stormy horizon, a glimmer of salvation. With the last of my strength, I kicked towards the shore. Each stroke was agony, but the thought of solid ground kept me going. The waves pushed me onto the beach, a gasping, broken thing, but I was alive. I lay there, feeling the sand beneath me, a stark contrast to the relentless sea. I collapsed on the sand, the storm a distant roar now. The sky was clearing, but the memory of the tempest lingered. The island loomed above me, a dark silhouette against the dying light. It was both a promise of refuge and a new challenge. Fear gripped me. I was alone, injured and stranded. The vastness of the island was intimidating, its unknowns daunting. But I had survived the sea. Now I had to survive the island. With determination, I prepared to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that my journey was far from over. Morning brought a fragile hope. The storm had vanished. The island, bathed in sunlight, was breathtakingly beautiful. Lush green vegetation covered the hills, and a freshwater stream trickled down to the sea. I found coconuts for both food and water. My spirits lifted. Maybe this island wouldn't be so bad after all. I explored cautiously, my senses always alert. The island was small, easy to navigate and explore. I discovered a network of caves in the cliffs. They were dry and sheltered, perfect for a base camp. I felt a surge of optimism. I could survive here. I could hold out for rescue, I thought. Days turned into weeks. I adapted to my new life. I learned to fish with sharpened sticks, built a fire for warmth, and created shelter in the caves. The island provided. I began to feel safe and secure. Too safe. I had forgotten that nature is never truly benign. One evening, as I sat by my fire, a primal fear ran down my spine, sending shivers through my body. I wasn't alone. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and I felt a presence. I could feel eyes on me, watching from the shadows, hidden and mysterious. I grabbed a burning branch, holding it high for light, hoping to see what was out there. There was nothing there, but the feeling persisted, gnawing at my mind. Something was out there. The next morning, I found footprints in the sand. They weren't mine. They were too large, too broad, and too deep. Panic welled up inside me. I was not alone on this island, and I knew it. The question was, who were they? And what did they want from me? Fear gnawed at me. I retreated deeper into the caves, seeking solace in their darkness and safety, but the silence was now filled with imagined sounds, the rustling of leaves, the snap of a twig echoing in my mind. My paradise was lost, replaced by a chilling fear that gripped my heart. Sleep offered no escape. Nightmares plagued me. Every time I closed my eyes, I was transported to a world of terror. The darkness was alive, filled with shadows that whispered my name. I could feel their cold breath on my neck, their eyes piercing through the veil of my dreams. It was as if they were waiting for me to fall asleep, to let my guard down so they could pounce. The nights were long and unforgiving, each one worse than the last. Faces, painted with strange markings, stared at me with hungry eyes. They were not just faces, they were masks of torment, each one more grotesque than the last. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural light, filled with a hunger that seemed insatiable. I could feel their gaze burning into my soul, stripping away my defenses. It was as if they could see every fear, every doubt, every weakness. They were relentless, and there was no escape. I woke with a start, my heart pounding in my chest. The room was dark, but the terror was real. I could still feel the weight of their gaze, the coldness of their breath. My body was drenched in sweat, my mind racing. I tried to calm myself, to convince myself it was just a dream, but the fear was too real. It clung to me like a second skin, refusing to let go. The fire had died down to embers. The once roaring flames were now just a faint glow, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The darkness seemed to close in, suffocating me. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional crackle of the dying fire. It was a reminder of how alone I was, how vulnerable. And then I heard it, a sound that sent chills down my spine. It was faint at first, almost imperceptible, but it grew louder, more distinct. It was the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate. Each step echoed in the silence, a reminder that I was not alone. The sound of movement outside the cave, slow, deliberate, terrifying. It was as if the darkness itself had come alive, moving with purpose. I could hear the crunch of leaves, the snap of twigs. Each sound was a reminder of the danger that lurked just outside. I huddled in the darkness, my breath caught in my throat. The footsteps came closer. I could feel the ground vibrate with each step, the air grow colder. My heart raced, my mind filled with images of what could be out there. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move, unable to think. They stopped right outside my cave entrance. The silence was deafening. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud and frantic. I strained to listen, to hear any sign of movement, but there was nothing, just the oppressive silence. I held my breath, praying to a God I wasn't sure I believed in. Then, silence. The footsteps retreated. The relief was overwhelming, but it was short-lived. I knew they would be back. They were always watching, always waiting. I was still alive for now. The night had passed, but the danger was far from over. I knew I had to stay vigilant, to be prepared for whatever came next. The sun, when it finally rose, brought little comfort. The light chased away the shadows, but the fear remained. It was a constant companion, a reminder of the night's horrors. I had to know who was hunting me. I couldn't live in fear forever. I needed answers, and I needed to find them before it was too late. I crept to the cave entrance and peered out. The jungle was still, the morning air crisp, but I knew better than to trust the calm. Danger lurked in every shadow, every rustle of leaves. The footprints were there, leading away into the jungle. They were fresh, a clear sign that I was not alone. Someone or something had been here watching me. They were more than just footprints. They were a message. I was being watched, hunted. The realization was chilling, but it also steeled my resolve. I would find out who or what was behind this, and I would survive. I knew then that I couldn't stay hidden forever. The jungle, with its thick foliage and constant sounds of life, was both a refuge and a prison. Every rustle of leaves, every distant cry of an animal reminded me that I was not alone. My heart raced with the realization that my time in the shadows was running out. I had to face my pursuers, whoever they were. The thought of confronting them filled me with dread, but I knew it was the only way to end this nightmare. I steeled myself. Drawing on every ounce of courage I had left, I gathered my meager belongings, my makeshift spear, a crude weapon fashioned from a sturdy branch and a sharpened stone. It wasn't much, but it was all I had. The fire starter, a few coconuts. These simple tools had kept me alive, providing warmth and sustenance in this unforgiving environment. I had a plan, a desperate gamble. It was risky, but I had no other choice. I would follow the footprints I had discovered earlier, hoping they would lead me to answers. I would follow the footprints. Each step I took was filled with uncertainty, but also with a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, I could find a way out of this nightmare. I would find the ones who were hunting me. The jungle was dense, its labyrinthine paths confusing and disorienting, but I pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and determination, the air thick with humidity. Each breath was a struggle, the oppressive heat sapping my strength. But I couldn't afford to stop, not now. The footprints were easy to follow. They were fresh, indicating that my pursuers were not far ahead. My heart pounded in my chest as I quickened my pace. They led to a clearing, a small break in the otherwise impenetrable jungle. I paused, taking in the scene before me, in the center of which stood a crudely built village. It was primitive, yet it spoke of a community that had lived here for a long time. Huts made of branches and leaves. They were simple but functional, blending seamlessly with the surrounding jungle. And then I saw them, the inhabitants of this hidden village. They moved with a grace and purpose that spoke of their deep connection to this land. They were tall, their bodies adorned with scars and bones. Each mark told a story, each bone a testament to their survival. Their faces were painted with ochre and charcoal. The patterns were intricate, each line and swirl holding meaning and significance. They were chanting, dancing around a fire. The rhythm of their movements and the haunting melody of their chants filled the air, creating an atmosphere of both reverence and menace. And in the center of the fire, impaled on a spit, was a human leg. My blood ran cold. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. I had stumbled upon a tribe of cannibals. The horror of my discovery paralyzed me for a moment, but I knew I had to act quickly. My survival depended on it.